Everybody, this is Family Time 242. It is the end of third quarter, the start of fourth quarter here. If you need help with something, if you need to get some things caught up, finish for classes, get whatever help you need. Touch base, stop in here, stop in with whatever teachers you need to see. Let's make sure you're ending third quarter strong and starting off the end of the year, because fourth quarter is crazy. There's always so much going on. It goes by so quickly. So make sure we're starting on the right foot. That all being said, we're talking about situational communication and self. What I mean by that is we've talked about communication a lot already. Communication is so important. It's essential in any positive relationship. And it's tricky because we do have to adjust the ways in which we communicate to the situation, to the people with whom we're communicating. And that's a good thing. That's a skill. That's something we have to develop. All of you do this already in certain ways. Like, you probably talk a little differently around your close group of friends than you would with maybe your parents or grandparents or somebody like that. That's a good thing. Like, you want to cater the way you talk. Some of it may be, in fact, the way you talk, like the words you use, that sort of thing. But it may also be like the information that you share, right? With somebody you're really close with, you're going to probably share more information than you would with somebody you don't know as well. That's good. You need to know how to gauge those things. You need to understand how to be professional in a professional setting. Like, if you walk into a job interview, you want to conduct yourself in a certain way, right? If you're in a business meeting, if you're giving a speech, or if you're just kind of entertaining friends, those are two different things. There are certain skills that translate, but we need to learn how to adapt to those different situations. And that is tricky. And that's something that we screw up sometimes. I know I screw it up all the time because communication, we're always trying to get this, we're trying to get a message across. And we want the other person or the other people to take in that message and interpret it in the way we intend. And that doesn't always happen. And that has to do with a ton of different factors. Sometimes it's the way we say things or the way we present information. Sometimes it's because the other person is framing things through a different lens than we are. As we talk about empathy all the time, is that person's experience are going to, put a lens on how they're taking in our message. And we have to remember that. That's also a part of like adapting is trying to empathize and try to understand, try to predict what someone else might be experiencing or how they might view something based on their experiences. But the truth is, we screw it up. I know I screw it up all the time, where it's times like if I'm communicating something in class or coaching, sometimes it's how I deliver the message. I'll do something like, man, maybe I got after that student or that athlete. Like, maybe I was a little too hard on them right there. Maybe I was a little like aggressive about that behavior, or maybe I get a little frustrated with somebody and I'm like, man, maybe I didn't explain that well, because clearly there's like a disconnect in the message. Things like that happens in our daily lives all the time. Wait till you get married someday. Not a knock against marriage at all, but you have one person that you're telling everything to, that you're communicating everything with to. And there's times where I'm like, like, I respect my wife's opinion above anything else, but like, maybe I said something and she took it in a way that I didn't mean to take it, or vice versa. She says something, I have like a little reaction to it. That's not really what she was getting at. That's part of communication. So the trick is to develop some of those skills, and you can only do it through practice and by sometimes screwing things up and kind of going back to the drawing board. So I think it's important, like, if we present some information, we try to get some message across, and it's interpreted a way that we didn't intend, to take ownership of that and not be like, oh, this person just doesn't get it or they weren't paying attention or whatever. To be like, okay, what did I maybe do where that message didn't get through the way that I had hoped? And what can I do better? And sometimes it's just something like, apologizing. Hey, that's not exactly, what I meant. I maybe, said it this way, or I maybe got a little short about this thing, but that's not really the issue. And the other thing, and this is tricky, especially really at any stage in life, but especially at the stage in life you're in, middle school, high school, of how to like adjust our communication to fit the situation and the people, but not lose our sense of self. Because becomes that that becomes sort of a trap too. It's really easy to do, where it's like, okay, like I know if I act this certain way or I talk a certain way, I do this certain thing, I might get a reaction. Maybe my friends will laugh, or maybe, I want this group to sort of accept me. So I'm going to sort of change the way I present myself. That's a slippery slope. It's okay to adjust how we communicate a little bit, but we don't want to misrepresent who we are. We don't want to try to change the essential parts of ourselves. Like, I want all of you to live by your values and your ethics and your beliefs, and I want you to feel strong enough to stand up for those things, and I want you to like yourself and be confident in who you are and what you have to offer. And that can be tricky when we're like, oh, I want these people to accept me, and I want to be liked by this group. And everybody has some of that. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants a sense of belonging. That's a basic human need. But how do we find that without kind of selling out who we are? So that's what we're going to talk about this week. I want you to think of some situations where maybe you've struggled to get your message across, or there's been like a breakdown in communication, how you've maybe had to alter the way you communicate for different situations, and how you can try to do those things while staying true to who you are. All right, until next time, much love.